Alrighty, here we go. Tonight's gonna get so weird. I know I say that every night. Oh boy. Wow. Just a lot of things that I'm finding out about Sinaiticus and the controversy surrounding it, and just a lot of I tell you, a lot of incredible stuff. I don't know if anybody's going to be joining me tonight. I have not heard anything, but I'm going to assume that someone will. So I'm going to copy all of this. Copy. And I'm going to send it to... Let's see. There is somebody here. Very nice. I'm assuming not Charles Evans because he hasn't seen my message. Comments. There is a comment. Jared. Ah! Jared's here. Nice. Well, that gives me somebody to talk to. All right. Tonight, Jared, it might just be you and me, which is okay. That's okay. Let's try this out. It's already half past when I should have been going live. Thank you very much for joining me, Jared. I am going to play the countdown, and we're going to get started. So, let's go. As I dive into the controversy surrounding Codex Sinaiticus, whether or not it was a modern forgery perpetrated by Constantine Tischendorf, I suppose, and technically created by Constantine Simonides, or whether it is a 3rd century document, 3rd, 4th century, what have you. I think it's 300s, so 4th century, as Constantine Tischendorf claimed. Things keep getting weirder and weirder, and I am not, I'll be upfront about this, I am not a fantastic researcher. I'm not Chris Pinto. I'm not Bob Ross or Brian Ross. I'm not David Daniels. I'm not any of the people that have engaged in this controversy and done a lot of actual research. Me, I look at their research and I react to it, and sometimes I see problems. But it wasn't my turn to see problems this time. This time, it was my turn to watch somebody find the problems. Let me explain what I mean. By the way, thanks for joining us on the Bible version conspiracy. I know, please. I understand. Joseph, you go on and on about this buy me a coffee thing. I won't a lot tonight. I just want to let you guys know that we're tracking down what we can find that are problems in the modern Bible translation controversy. We're exposing them to the best of our ability. We greatly appreciate the support that we've received. And if you would like to help support us, if you guys would like to help support the exposing of the modern Bible translation controversy and the conspiracy behind both sides of the debate, consider subscribing to support this channel in the YouTube, whatever. And if you want to join us and buy me a coffee for $7 a month, guess what? When we reach 500 subs, when we reach not 500 subs, when we reach $500 worth of monthly subscribers, we will start a page by page audit of New Age Bible versions by Gail Ripplinger. We'll go through every single point, every single page, every single quotation, get to the bottom of it, see if I think it was taken out of context, if you think it was taken out of context, if you think that there is something wrong with it, if you think that there's so much that maybe she wasn't able to even fit into her argument that should have gone in there, we're going to find it, and we're going to find it the best way. We're going to find it together. If you are down for that, if you want to see that happen, let's go. But the thing is it's not free for me, because she bought and she owned and she borrowed a lot of books that I have access to and a lot that I don't. So I can't finance that and the time to be able to research all of this without support. Thanks for doing that. I appreciate you. Codex Sinaiticus. This is so weird. Brian Ross. Oh, I don't even know where to start. Okay, basic introduction for those of you that don't exactly know what's going on. Codex Sinaiticus is the world's oldest Bible. It is what people would call an Alexandrian type manuscript, where, especially in the New Testament, Old Testament is basically what people call the Septuagint. It's a Greek translation of the Hebrew Old Testament. New Testament is full of the typical corruptions that you would see in Alexandrian type manuscripts, where you have, the different verses missing and all these different things. And weird doctrines, not necessarily weird doctrines, but doctrines kind of trickled away from it. A lot of possible Arian influence, Gnosticism, things like this. Basic idea of the manuscript. It is a pretty much complete Old Testament, pretty much complete New Testament. I think there's some spots that are, missing, not exactly there, all these different things. And at the end of the New Testament, there are two extra books: the Epistle of Barnabas, not the Gospel of Barnabas, and the Shepherd of Hermas. Both of them in Greek. The entire manuscript is written in Greek. So this is a handwritten uncial, which is large capital letters, Greek capital letters written along, and it is bound, or was originally apparently bound, and then unbound, and then rebound, and anyways, basketball. So these pages have all been bound into what's called a codex, which these are codexes. If you had a scroll, it would be a big old roll, and that's what a scroll is. If you find a manuscript and it's in a book form, it's a codex. So, thing about Sinaiticus is a lot of people have pointed out that it looks pretty young. It doesn't look like a 3rd century, a 4th century, 300s manuscript like Constantine Tischendorf, its discoverer, at least the person that introduced it to European textual criticism. He claimed that it was that old. It doesn't look old, according to most people. According to most King James Bible believing researchers, according to a lot of different people. So anyways, we'll get into a little bit more about this in a second. Really, really weird stuff. Okay. Codex Sinaiticus is basically the little brother of the Vatican Codex, which is Codex Vaticanus, obviously. And they are used as the two chief witnesses to the original text of the New Testament for modern Bible translations. Problem is, and also Chris Pinto especially feels that Sinaiticus is one of the key tools being used to break down modern Christianity, our respect of the Bible, doctrines, undermining the deity of Christ, even though there is more than enough testimony of Christians, Bible-believing Christians, all the way back to Christ, that believed that he was God incarnate. Codex Sinaiticus is used as evidence that, oh, well, early Christians really didn't believe this and that. Which is funny because the writings of the actual people that were actually saying what they actually believed are older than Sinaiticus, but whatever. And on top of that, the Gnostic heretics who would have rejected all of this, Ken Johnson has some excellent resources on this, they corrupted scripture. It's historically documented to support Arian heresies, to support other types of heresies. They would do it to different manuscripts and stuff like this. So just because it's old doesn't mean it's reliable. Okay. That's the basic stuff. That's where we all started. This is the plaque that we all sat behind maybe 10 years ago. It's not the same picture now. Things have gone. Stuff has hit the fan. And controversy has exploded all over the place. Not just King James onlyism. It's everywhere. Codex Sinaiticus, when it first came out, there was a guy named Constantine Simonides that claimed to be the writer of it. Guess what that means? That means that if anything is 4th century, 300s, if anything is that old, it might be the parchment, it might be the dried animal skins that it was written on, but not the ink, not the scribe, not any of it. It would be a 19th century document, as I'm going to have to keep touching my screen to keep it awake, probably. As Constantine Simonides claimed, he wrote it as a young man. It was intended as a gift for the Tsar of Russia, and in return, he would give them, the monastery that he was at, he would give them a printing press so that they could print their manuscripts instead of having to handwrite them all the time, and make things a lot less frustrating for them, and hopefully deter theft and all this other stuff. So it would have been great for them. That was why he said that he made it, and that it was made, I believe, as a draft. It's a fascinating story that he lays out. It is a fascinating story as as David Daniels lays it out in his books. Who is the world's oldest Bible a fake, and who faked the world's oldest Bible? I have a Kindle of that. I have the actual book of the first one. It's a fascinating story, and Daniels' claim is that if we take the details of what Simonides said, liars don't tell the truth about details, is the premise, then if he's able to confirm all the details, he's able to confirm Simonides' story. That's the logic. The thing is sometimes actually a liar will tell the truth about the details because you can confirm the details. But then the things that you can't confirm are the lies. It's an interesting bunch of weeds we've gotten ourselves into. As one guy pointed out, I'll talk more about him in a second. Apparently, the 19th century forging of Codex Sinaiticus is the big thing that there's so many King James Bible believers chasing right now. There are so many of us chasing this, researching it, trying to figure it out, engaging in controversies, watching things, buying books, all sorts of stuff. There's a guy, I'll just name him. His name was Brian Ross, and he said, it's like we're trying to score points in the manuscript debate or whatever to claim that it's old. So, oh, well, if it, not that it's old, that it's new. So if this is a new manuscript, then the textual critical edifice, which has been built up ever since the time of Westcott and Horton before, it all basically crumbles, and they're kind of left at square zero. So, problem is, Brian Ross taught for quite some time that Sinaiticus was a forgery. However, he has since backpedaled on that. He has publicly said on his YouTube channel and at his church and everything else, on their church website, that until further research is available, he is not an advocate of the 19th century forgery theory. He actually believes that it's more likely, to my understanding, he thinks it's more likely to be a 6th century document. A document that was made in the 500s AD, and not an ancient codex. Unless you consider, that to be ancient, which you probably could. But if it's not in the 3rd and 4th century, it's basically worthless. So, I want to show you a page I've been working on. And I like doing this with my website. I put a little emoji at the beginning on the web page, the way it's featured, and that helps you be able to keep pages straight and open when they're open in your tabs. So it's hopefully it helps you out. So I'm going to share. Oh, gotta turn off this banner. There we go. And we're going to share. You guys would not believe the thing that actually holds my phone where it should be. It broke last Saturday. It just fell on the ground and broke, just like that. So submitted a warranty, and I got a replacement this afternoon. So very thankful for that. And we're going to share. I'm just going to share the window. Sweet. Am I able to do this? Haha! I are able to do that. Tricky. Okay. This way I can look at myself if I need to, or page. Very nice. All right. Guys, this is going to be crazy. All right. So I'm just presenting the information that I've heard so far. This is a research update like Brian Ross did a few years ago. And David Daniels gave a presentation about the details about Simonides' story for the King James Bible Research Council. I watched that just a little while ago, and I shared it. Right after I shared it, Brian Ross said, "Oh, I saw you shared something by Daniels about the Codex Sinaiticus thing. Have you ever seen this?" He sent me to link to his stuff, to his research update, and I was like, "No." So I went and I watched it. I listened to it during my commute and everything. It was a 5-part series. Each part is about an hour. Wow. Wow. So Did Simonides forge Codex Sinaiticus? Did he forge it? If he did, it is a 19th century document. They haven't carbon dated it yet. They have not chemically dated the ink, which is what they should do. Not focus so much on the parchment, but on the ink. Did he write it? If they chemically test it, is it going to show that this manuscript was produced in the last couple hundred years, or is it going to show ancient characteristics? Is it a 3rd century manuscript of great value? Pardon my typos. As Constantine Tischendorf claimed, based on paleography, which is where you read and you look at the letters and you go, oh, they wrote this way back this far, and this makes this manuscript this old. It's archaic, it's outdated, it's subjective. I don't like it, I don't trust it. I want to see chemical testing. Okay, sorry, I just want to see those kind of things. Or is it a worthless codex from the 6th century? Did Simonides accuse a Protestant missionary of midnight orgies? And why did he do that? Did an earthquake confirm Sinaiticus's antiquity? And not Simonides' story? Was the forgery controversy did the forgery controversy lead to the prominence of a heretical codex that would have otherwise been ignored? What did the modern forgery controversy lead us to? Or what will the modern forgery controversy lead us to? And are King James Bible believers and researchers being double-crossed? Relax. This is just a conspiracy theory. I need a t-shirt that says that. So if you're, say, if you're David Daniels or somebody that follows all this stuff and is doing your own research and is just like, oh, I confirm all of Simonides' story and I really don't trust Constantine Tischendorf and all this other stuff. Okay, I got it. Thanks. I appreciate that. If you're somebody that's like, this is ridiculous. How dare you question the antiquity of the Codex? Stop. Okay. If you're a Greek from Greece and you know way more about this than anybody else, I appreciate that too. I would love to hear your input. I would love to hear your comments. Like I said, this is just a conspiracy theory, but sometimes I'm right. Sometimes conspiracy theories are right. Actually, scientists average that we will have a 95% decrease in conspiracy theories over the next 10 years if they keep coming true at the current rate. That is a concerning statistic, in my opinion. All right. Is the world's oldest Bible as old as the official narrative claims, or is it a 19th century forgery, a 19th century manuscript made by a teenager in Greece? Did this teenager grow up to expose a vast conspiracy behind Western Protestantism? Or was this teenager to become one of the most devious conspirators Christianity has ever faced? Only time and a thorough chemical test of the Codex Sinaiticus, now in the possession of the British Museum, by the way, only time and a chemical test will tell. I have accepted, me personally, this guy, Joseph, I have accepted the idea that Codex Sinaiticus is a 19th century production for several years. I've accepted it. I have not necessarily committed myself to it. I have not jumped in and made lots of videos about it. I haven't jumped in and made a lot of videos about anything. So, I have accepted the idea for several years. However, after listening to the evidence presented by Brian Ross, I don't know what to expect. I don't know. We deeply appreciate the work of Bill Cooper, who is dead, David Sorensen, who seems to have largely borrowed from Cooper, Chris Pinto, who seems to have put the bee in Bill Cooper's bonnet, David Daniels, who seems to have also gotten a bee in his bonnet from Chris Pinto, Brian Ross, Kevin McGrain, who is largely responding to Bill Cooper, and Elijah Hickson, whom I believe is also largely responding to David Daniels. So that's how the tree breaks down. Here's a little Sinaiticus playlist for you. We're constantly working to expand our playlists as new information becomes available to me. Not saying I'm the most update person in the world, or updated. Subscribe to our channel for updates. This video you see featured here, as far as I am aware, is the first public debate ever concerning the history and dating of Codex Sinaiticus, to my knowledge. And it's between Chris Pinto and James White. Officially the oldest and best. This is what the official people, well, not the official people, I didn't get anything from, like, you know, something really credible like Wikipedia. All right, so the Encyclopedia Britannica says, Codex Sinaiticus, the earliest known manuscript of the Christian Bible, compiled in the 4th century CE, that's Common Era, so that would be basically AD. 4th century would be 300s, because the 000s was the 1st century. In 1844, 43 leaves of a 4th century biblical codex, a collection of single pages bound together along one side, were discovered at St. Catherine's Monastery at the foot of Mount Sinai, which is not actually Mount Sinai. Sorry, Jared. This is apparently, and you can comment whatever you like. You guys went on a trip to Israel. You guys went on a trip to Egypt to go look at Mount Sinai. That is the not Mount Sinai. It's on this side. It's on the Egypt side of the Red Sea. So they would have crossed the Reed Sea, which is a modern textual, critical, higher critical theory, which doesn't hold water, in my opinion. Doesn't hold water. If they would have crossed the actual Red Sea, like the Bible says they did, they would have crossed and they would have gone to the Mount Sinai, which is in Arabia, like the Bible says in the New Testament. It says it's in Arabia, not Egypt. So, you might, Jared, you may have actually even seen St. Catherine's Monastery there at the foot of Mount Sinai. And that's why it is called Sinaiticus. Codex Sinaiticus is the name of the article. Encyclopedia Britannica. Click the link, read all about it. You're welcome. On September 13th, 1862, in an article of the Guardian, he, that is Simonides, claimed that he was the real author of the Codex Sinaiticus and that he wrote it in 1839. According to him, it was, quote, the one poor work of his youth, end quote. According to Simonides, he visited Sinai in 1852 and saw the Codex. Henry Bradshaw, a scholar, didn't believe his claims. Ellipsis. Also, in many other complicated questions, he had his own, usually controversial point of view, but after ascribing the authorship of the Codex Sinaiticus to himself, the rest of his credibility was destroyed by the British press. Textus Receptus, Constantine Simonides, and this takes you to textus-receptus.com, which I believe is part of like Wikipedia, but it's run by Nick Sayers, so I'm not sure how all that dynamic is. Nick, if you want to, expand on that, let me know exactly how that all works. That'd be fascinating to find out. All right. 19th century forgery theory. Rescued from the furnace of a chilly monastery, sections of Codex Sinaiticus were whisked, or more likely stolen, from St. Catherine's Monastery by Constantine Tischendorf. Shortly after Tischendorf and his discovery were thrust into the limelight, a Greek forger claimed to have written the ancient book himself as a young man. A battle of tall tales, fake proof, and smear campaigns ensued. The Codex would emerge from this controversy as the world's oldest Bible and the most famous biblical manuscript in the world. Today, King James Bible believers like myself and like David Daniels and like Chris Pinto and like Sorensen and like people, just people everywhere, are resurrecting this controversy. And here's how they're doing it. Through media, like social media, like films, documentaries. Chris Pinto, documentary right here, Bridge to Babylon. Is Bridge to Babylon the right one? It shouldn't be Bridge to Babylon. It should be Tares Among the Wheat. I'll have to update that. Oh, I'm going to just have to update that at some point. All right. Am I able to do that quickly? Well, I don't know. Let's see. Tares among the wheat. By the way, I'm looking for ideas on a Codex Sinaiticus t-shirt. Still trying to figure it out. That should work. So let's copy this link for now. That's Bridge to Babylon, a sequel to Tares Among the Wheat. Now I'm second guessing myself. I don't know. It's one of them. It's the one where they talk about, things. I'm pretty sure it's Bridge to Babylon, though, isn't it? I don't know. I don't even know. Chris Pinto resurrects the Simonides affair and sparks the interest of KJV and Textus Receptus advocates everywhere. And he does. He has an enormous section in this documentary only talking about the Codex Sinaiticus controversy as it relates to Constantine Simonides and Constantine Tischendorf. And then he has the first modern debate between an advocate of Sinaiticus's antiquity and the 19th century forgery theory. Both of them are available right here. You're welcome. David Daniels. In this extensive study, this is a playlist that David Daniels put together. There's like 30-some parts, I believe. In this extensive study, David Daniels explores the question of the color of the pages of Sinaiticus, what part of Simonides' claims have been verified, and proposes a Jesuit conspiracy behind the official acceptance of Sinaiticus's great age. Thing is, we're going to talk about that in a second with the color of the pages. The idea is that the pages didn't look old enough to Constantine Tischendorf, so he was like, oh, I'm just going to clean the pages with this little solution of herbs I just put together, And he goes and he cleans it off, and oh man, all of a sudden these pages just look really brown and really old looking, and the ink is faded, and I wonder what happened there. That's the idea. That's what Callinicos, if you believe Callinicos even existed, when he wrote to Simonides when Simonides presented these letters, which Simonides' character and honesty is just so questioned in my mind right now, just so questioned. So anyways, Siniticus was like, hey, this happened. He changed the color of these pages, and if David Daniels is correct, part of the Codex, now this is a fact, part of the Codex is in Leipzig, Germany. The other part is in the British Museum in London. The part that's in Leipzig, apparently those pages are apparently much, much lighter than those in Britain and don't look quite so ancient at all. But this is also oh, where was my train of thought going? My eye just itches. All right. So if those pages are, and now I'm sorry, I'm recording this at like 11:15 at night. I've been up for a very long time. I'm so tired, my eye is twitching. If those pages are lighter, that means that the pages were tampered with from one place to another when Tischendorf was transferring them. So it gets really weird if that's true. But the problem is, we're going to bring it up in a second. Even more of Simonides' story is described in fascinating detail. The verification is tremendous, and that's this video here by David Daniels about Vaticanus and Sinaiticus. And one thing that I don't like about David Daniels' presentations, sorry, Daniel, sorry. It's true, though. Most of the time when you upload a video of one of your speeches, which really, I think that your speeches are amazing. You got a great personality and everything when you do a speech. But the thing is that we always miss the first section of whatever you are saying. I don't know who it is that does your camera. Maybe it's your wife. I don't even know who does the camera work. But whoever's doing it pushes record usually after you've started like 5 minutes ago or something. It seems it's kind of annoying. But anyways, just some viewer feedback. I hope it helps you guys as you improve what you're doing, and I appreciate your work. Here's some reading that you can do on the forging of Codex Sinaiticus. There's Bill Cooper's book. These are all affiliate links, obviously. There's Bill Cooper's book. There's David Sorensen's book, Neither Oldest or Best, How the Foundational Manuscripts of the Modern Bible Translations Are Unreliable, which, like I said, seems to largely borrow from Cooper. And then these are the two books by Daniels, The World's Oldest Bible, Is the World's Oldest Bible a Fake, and Who Faked the World's Oldest Bible. This one, I think, runs around like 200 or 300 pages. This one's like 450 pages, so he really digs in. But the thing is that Brian Ross doesn't like is that the criticisms that have actually come to light of Bill Cooper and Sorensen and of Daniels, the first book, they are not dealt with in this book, in the Who Faked the World's Oldest Bible. This book largely deals with an investigation into the mostly deals with investigating Simonides' story on a deeper level, and etc. and etc. And if you're going to read something that replies to the criticisms which McGrain and who's that guy's name? Elijah Hickson. If you're going to read those, and then you want to read a reply from somebody that still thinks, to my knowledge, Chris Pinto still thinks to this day, I should probably talk to him. I should reach out to him. I really should. That still thinks that it was a 19th century forgery. You can read this article right here. It links to my the Bible version conspiracy Google Drive, and you guys can read, you guys can download this, and you can also listen to it on Speechify. I should really put a link in the description. Let me just do that real quick. I'll copy it, and then I'll add it. So long as the internet cooperates. I'll let that load. All right, so critical of the 19th century forgery. Here's where things get twisty. I mean, we all, everybody thought, okay, it's an ancient manuscript. And then stuff hit the fan, and now everybody's like, it's a 19th century forgery. Now, guess what? One of the main people that has done research into this and has read everything on the subject that he could get his hands on, Brian Ross, in a typical Brian Ross fashion, and it's B-R-Y. In typical Brian Ross fashion, he reads everything he can get his hands on a subject, and then draws his own opinions. Critical of the 19th century forgery, and here's the thing. This should actually be moved before media. Okay. Brian Ross, a history teacher, pastor, and KJV-only researcher, whom, by the way, Gail Ripplinger doesn't like very much, presented evidence for the 19th century forgery of Sinaiticus for years. Brian Ross did. Brian's research is even recommended by Chris Pinto. In Chris Pinto's response to Kevin McGrain and his critical article of the Codex Sinaiticus forgery theory. I gotta blow my nose. Hang on. Okay, now this is why people say that long-form content is really taking off, because people long for the connection. My connection with you, your connection with me, you're part of this channel, you're part of everything we do here. This is such an intimate experience. You get to watch me blow my nose, for crying out loud. It's like you're here in the office with me. It's fantastic. I like this platform. So, Brian Ross, a history teacher, pastor, and KJV-only researcher, presented evidence for the 19th century forgery of Sinaiticus for years. Brian's research is even recommended by Chris Pinto in his response to McGrain's critical article. Recently, the evidence presented by McGrain and others, like Elijah Hickson, has convinced Brian to backpedal on the issue and argue against the 19th century forgery theory until his criticisms and questions are satisfied. Here's where this is going to get a little weird. And I just finished listening to Chris Pinto's response to McGrain's article, which is the one that Brian Ross chiefly refers to. I just got done listening to that. There are some parts where I'm just like, this is an insufficient response. There's so much that I'm just like, this doesn't need to be part of the response. Chris Pinto's article, in my opinion, is not a systematic treatment of the points that McGrain brings up, which is what Brian Ross would like and what I would like. It is more randomized, and he picks and chooses what he really wants to respond to, and basically is like, oh, you're just trying to support Sinaiticus, and don't reject Jesuit conspiracies because it's legit, and they happen, and all this other stuff. So there's a lot of space taken up by that. And it also is more intimidating because it's like a 109-page document, but it's double spaced. So technically it's like, what 50 pages? This is Brian Ross's research update on the topic. It's still available to this day on their church website. Yeah, that's better. And you can check it out here. If you click this link, it takes you to their church website. And you can download the audio or you can watch it on YouTube there. So I would imagine that if their channel ever gets swept from the face of YouTube and has to be on Rumble only, then you should just still be able to click on this link, view the video, check out the audio, everything else. Did Tischendorf stain the pages of Sinaiticus? It appears he didn't, and that white parchment does not indicate the observed color, but rather the type of parchment. So I highly recommend you listen to this series this week. It's very systematic, as Brian Ross always is. Very well researched and systematic. The parchment type that was used, it's tricky to tell, because one of the main arguments is that, oh, people that observed it when it was a younger manuscript, when it was first written, apparently, like Uspensky, I believe the guy's name was, he was a scholar that went and saw it at St. Catherine's Monastery, and he describes it as white. Other people say that it's yellowed at different points in the future as well, but Uspensky was like the first one to see it for like quite some time. And he describes it as white, but the thing is that it can't really yellow naturally in all that time. But the problem is that there are 3 different types of parchment. I believe, if I'm correct anyways, there is white, brown, and purple, I believe, or white, yellow, and purple are the 3 different types of parchment. So like a purple manuscript would be like literally a purple page that would be dyed with purple, like is mentioned in the Bible. And it would be written on with gold or silver ink. A white parchment is going to be written on, obviously, with black ink. Did Tischendorf stain the pages? Or when Uspensky, I believe that was the guy's name, it's how it's pronounced, I think. Porphyry, I believe his name was Porphyry Uspensky. Or was he describing it as white parchment, not because of his, not because he was looking at the color of it, but rather he was referring to the type. Like white marble is gray. A white rhinoceros is gray. So check that out. Second, did Simonides tell the truth in the details, or did he manipulate details to facilitate a deeper and darker plot against Christianity in the West? Here's the thing. Brian Ross brings up in the article by McGrain, Kevin McGrain, Grane, and the link follows after the video series. It's down here. Somewhere. I think it's this one. Pretty sure. Kevin McGrain. Pretty sure it's that one. There might be another one that I'll have to find, but anyhow. It'll go up when I find it. Did Tischendorf stain the pages of Sinaiticus? It appears... Okay, we already read that. Blah, blah, blah. Now, here's why we question his authenticity. Because when he was another revolutionary in Greece, and very anti-Protestant, and sees the entire Protestant system as satanic, either he was put up to it by officials in his church, or he did it himself for them, or he just was telling the truth. I am probably the only person that you're going to hear entertain even the suggestion that Constantine Simonides may have been telling the truth. Why would I say this? Constantine Simonides accused a missionary, a Protestant missionary to Greece. His name was Jonas, I think, or something. His last name was King. And he accused him of having orgies at his house late at night, in the dark of night, with people that Simonides could name and could describe everything in detail. Great. And said that he would take anybody on in a court of law that what he was saying was true. Problem with that. If he was lying, that's not good. It's not good. If he was telling the truth, it's also not good. But it's not good for the 19th century forgery idea if he was lying. But Chris Pinto responds to this and says, oh, no. He was politically motivated, and he was young, and he was following orders, and this and that. I don't know. I don't think that Brian Ross sees this as a valid reply from Chris Pinto on that point. I would love to see Brian Ross respond to Chris Pinto's exact wording, but that's the gist that I got from the article. And also, Constantine was a brilliant forger, but this is so weird. So weird. Somehow get it straightened out in your head, because it's not straight in mine. So Constantine was a forger, but he was lying that he created Codex Sinaiticus, even though he was capable of it. And he was a forger, so he could have forged it, but he's a liar, so you can't trust him. This is a point that was kind of alluded to and not really talked about very much by Gail Riplinger. She mentioned this long ago on Tell Me a Story of Sinaiticus, long ago. Gail Riplinger said in a early tape that she did, I don't remember which one it was, she said that Simonides claimed to have, who was a forger, a con artist, I believe she might have called him, that he claimed to have written Codex Sinaiticus, but she said you can't really trust a liar and you can't really trust a fraud. And that's going to become a more and more relevant statement as we keep going on this channel. Stay tuned, like I said. So the thing is that Constantine Simonides, he was a brilliant paleographer, a brilliant calligrapher, apparently also a brilliant forger. From what I have heard from like McGrain's article, I don't believe Chris Pinto mentions it at all. Apparently Simonides presented manuscripts, New Testament fragments or what have you, that he claimed were the original autographs of the New Testament. Maybe they were. I don't know. Maybe they were. I'm probably, again, the only person you're ever going to hear even entertain the idea. Maybe they really were the original manuscripts, and maybe scholarship in the West undoubtedly has no idea what it's doing when it comes to these kind of things. But the thing is that it's also kind of more likely that he forged them and was trying to make a buck. So was Simonides involved in the king controversy, in trying to get to falsely accusing or possibly exposing the dark underbelly that was there? Or maybe King was being blackmailed. Maybe. Or maybe he wasn't. Apparently, Simonides came out after all of that and said that he admitted that he did lie, that the orgies did not happen, and boasted about the great effect that it had to get Protestantism out of there. Interesting. Now, here's a crazy one. The next one strikes near and dear to my heart. This one's crazy. Earthquakes. We mentioned earthquakes a long time ago. We had a stream that had talked about earthquakes. We talked about how the cabal, I can't remember if it was Francis Bacon or if it was Richard Day, that said that earthquakes would be utilized by the cabal to reveal documents that would shake Christianity, bring in a new world religion, and earthquakes would split open crevices and be like, wow, look at this. There's this old book down in here that wasn't buried, and my goodness, this just changes everything we know about Jesus now, doesn't it? Earthquakes are events used by the cabal to reveal documents that will shift the paradigms of religion as we know it. Does an earthquake prove Sinaiticus' existence before Simonides? Does it? It may. It might. Here's what happened. Before Simonides wrote, or was supposed to have written, Codex Sinaiticus, there was this little earthquake at St. Catherine's Monastery where a complete wall fell over. Okay? There wasn't a guy named Joshua dancing around in the desert with a whole bunch of the children of Israel in the Ark of the Covenant blowing trumpets that I am aware of. So, this wall falls over. What happens with this wall falling over? It basically makes it so you can't access a chamber where manuscripts were kept secretly by the monks. There was a guy that was there that was like the oldest guy and knew they were buried there, and he's like, on his deathbed, he's like, they buried manuscripts in the wall, and then blah, he's dead. And it's like, oh, thanks. There's only like a bazillion walls around here. Why couldn't you have died in 5 minutes after you told us which one, huh? Anyways. Since you couldn't get to that part of the wall, since you couldn't get to that little chamber, whatever was put in there before the earthquake was sealed and inaccessible. There is only two possibilities where Sinaiticus doesn't get verified by this, because later on they dug up this chamber, put the wall back together, as I understand. Brian Ross is going to watch this, and he'll be making comments all over the place and correcting me and also all sorts of stuff. I appreciate him doing that. Brian, thank you. You are the bomb, dude. The bomb. So, and you had nothing to do with knocking the wall over, though. That was an earthquake, so don't get that confused. So what happened basically then, they dug this wall up, they looked inside the chamber, and guess what they found in there? They found some pages that had been missing from Codex Sinaiticus. Huh, interesting. And as far as I'm aware, they dug this up not very long ago. And they're like, wow, look at that. Because Sinaiticus is a very, very interesting and enigmatic book. As far as I am aware, it is the only manuscript that is written in 3 columns. I'm pretty sure that's how it works, is 3 columns. Brian will correct me on that if I'm wrong. Thanks, Brian. Thank you. I need a lot of correction. Because like I said, we're learning publicly, and I like learning with you guys. You guys are great. So now that that's been dug up, and it collapsed before Sinaiticus was supposedly forged in the 19th century by Simonides, that kind of throws a wrench into his story, because that means that those manuscript pages were buried before he even was there to make them. Were they actually the pages of Sinaiticus? Or here's a few other possibilities just to think about, because this is a conspiracy theory channel, so let's do some theorizing here. All right. First, they could have been planted there by Jesuits, which is likely. So they dug a hole in this wall, or moved rocks, or maybe they teleported into the chamber somehow, left the manuscript fragments, and boom, evidence planted. That's a possibility. Another possibility. They were, oh, look at this. We just found these manuscripts that we just put here. Look at that. They conveniently fit right into Sinaiticus. Wow. It's another possibility. Yet another possibility. Oh, there was this manuscript. Here's a manuscript. Oh, we lost these pages of it. Okay. Hey, Simonides, could you make a manuscript that will include well, actually, hang on a second. Try to work this out in my mind. These pages are missing. They're in the wall of this manuscript before Sinaiticus. Hey, Simonides, make this manuscript. Okay, here it is. These pages were missing in that manuscript. And then the pages go missing again. I don't know. Sorry. I had something clearer worked out in my mind. I'll have to keep working on that. But the thing is that those pages may have been from a document that was before Sinaiticus. That may have been the reason somehow my brain is not working at 20 of 12 at night. And I've got other things on my mind. So many other things. Please pray for us. This manuscript is created because of that deficiency, because of those missing pages. Or maybe the manuscript is created for those missing pages. Ideas. So that's the basic idea about conspiracies, Uspensky, and earthquake. So, and I would highly recommend that you guys watch that video for another reason. Because McRain has a couple paragraphs where he talks about conspiracy theories and how conspiracy theory people are very irresponsible. And we are very irresponsible. Look at me. Look at what I'm doing. This just screams irresponsibility here. But I want you guys to have this information as I am learning it. I want to help the person that I was yesterday. And this is actually, as far as I'm aware, this is airing tomorrow. So I am literally helping the person that I was yesterday. So, the conspiracies part of it is just like the major takeaway that I took away from it, and it was deep, and it was pithy, and it was inspirational, and it was convicting. One of the main things was guarding against confirmation bias. And like Joel Thomas from the Confessional says, going out once in a while and touching grass, something that was not done by a certain person for several years, as I understand. Anyhow, the problem is that I have asked myself several times, what measures are being taken by us, not just me, not just Gail, not just Brian, not just McGrain, you. Whoever watches this video, if you're into these topics, what are you doing? What measures are you taking? And if you're taking measures, I want to hear them, because I want to adopt them too. I want to take measures to guard against confirmation bias. What are the measures you take? I want to hear that. I want to hear what you have to say. That's the question of the day. What measures can we take in the future, and what measures are you taking to guard against confirmation bias? Apparently, in my opinion, there's a few authors that I'm aware of that have done absolutely nothing to guard against confirmation bias, and never intend to, and it's sad. I have not listened to this one yet. I have now, actually, the Callinicos, Hermas, and Barnabas, so I'll have to update that. Talks about Callinicos, how he was probably not even a real person, according to McGrain, which is where Brian Ross leaves off with that idea. There are some good reasons that he actually wasn't a real person, and also some evidence that I think McGrain is like, well, there could have been a bazillion Callinicoses, and it's like, well, not really. So anyways, listen to it, see what you think. Hermas and Barnabas, two of the two copies of extra canonical books that are at the end of Hermas. They're very popular Christian literature. That's why they're in the back there. I don't think that they were being included as part of the New Testament canon, but they were often accepted and respected by Christians, so they were put there. Codex Sinaiticus Research Update, Callinicos, Hermas, and Barnabas. This is fascinating to me. Now, I think that there might be some misunderstanding, some level of misunderstanding, because most people say, oh, the Shepherd of Hermas was never seen in Greek before they saw it in Sinaiticus. Never before seen in Greek. People say that, and people say that it was unknown to the West in Greek. Apparently. So if Hermas and Barnabas were supposedly only seen in Codex Sinaiticus, that's huge, by the way, absolutely huge. It doesn't make any sense. If anybody's argument is hanging on that statement, which there are several arguments for the authenticity of Simonides' story that do hang on that, the idea that he actually presented a Greek copy of, I believe it was the Shepherd of Hermas, and it was identical to the one in Sinaiticus before it was discovered. And Tischendorf was just like, oh, wow, actually, that's probably not a forgery that Simonides has. Problem is that Hermas would have been seen when Uspensky saw Sinaiticus and talked about it having Hermes in Greek. It just adds a whole nother level. Listen to the video. Like I said, draw your conclusions. Let me know what you think. Let Brian know what you think. If you think Brian's off on something, he is so easy to contact. It is ridiculous. Message him, email him, comment on his video. There have only been like, what, 15 likes or something like this on these videos. I am shocked with the way that this topic has exploded. It is absolutely insane to me to think that nobody is watching these videos. Guys, there are holes in the arguments that are being put forward by King James Bible believers against the authenticity and ancient character of Codex Sinaiticus. And I think those holes need to be fixed. IMHO, in my humble opinion. And in this last video here, Brian Ross briefly discusses his current views on the subject of the 19th century forgery hypothesis. It is very different from the one that he held before. And you guys, if you check out those links, you can actually find the videos that he did called Codex Sinaiticus or Codex Simonides. That whole series is available there, also on their website. It's all available. It's all free to listen to. Some reading that you guys can do against the idea of Codex Sinaiticus being a fake. First one is this one right here by J.K. Elliott, called Codex Sinaiticus and the Simonides Affair, an examination of the 19th century claim that Codex Sinaiticus was not an ancient manuscript. Also, is David W. Daniels' Codex Sinaiticus Evidence a Fake by Kevin McCrane. An unpublished paper, New Evidence on Is Codex Sinaiticus a Fake by Elijah Hickson, and an unpublished review of David W. Daniels' Is the World's Oldest Bible a Fake, also by Elijah Hickson. And I think there's another article by McGrain. I don't remember. Brian, if there's another article by McGrain that I'm not listing here, please send it to me if it's not there currently. Debate time. In my opinion, James fails to properly critique the 19th century forgery view, but more information has come out since this debate which greatly undermines the theory, in my humble opinion. Right here. Check it out. Is Sinaiticus a modern forgery? Chris Pinto debates James White. One of our most viewed videos, by the way, still today. And I didn't make it. I downloaded the audio and I put it back up on YouTube because I couldn't find it on YouTube. Here's a bunch of bonus content. You guys can watch The Big Con of Paleography by David Daniels, The Big Con Part 2, Preparing the Way for Sinaiticus, The Big Con 3, which I don't think has actually gotten put up yet. So, David Daniels, come on, man, come on. My debate with James White. This is the post-debate comments by Chris Pinto. The books Forging Sinaiticus by Bill Cooper. Sinaiticus's facsimile prints by Hendrickson Printers. Was Codex Sinaiticus written in 1840 by Jack A. Mormon? Early manuscripts, Church Fathers, and the Authorized Version with manuscript digest and summaries by Jack Mormon. The Last 12 Verses of Mark by John W. Bergen, free PDF. A Tale of Two Constantines, Rethinking Codex Sinaiticus by Brian Ross. Brian Ross told me he used to believe the Sinaiticus was a forgery, but later changed his mind. Here he details why. And also check out more about the manuscript at its official website at who uses those anymore? https://codexsinaiticus.org/en. Let me change this. That is a cumbersome link-looking thing. Let's get rid of all that. Much nicer. And You can contact us on the form below. It is not only easy to contact Brian Ross, it is easy to contact yours truly. By the way, if you're watching this video, we're probably also friends on Facebook. So reach out to me in Messenger, reach out in the comments. I read the comments, I see them, I respond. You guys know it. When I see them anyways. So if you see something wrong, if you see something weird, you see something goofy, please. This debate isn't over. The story is not over. You are part of this story. We are part of this story. I'm part of this story. This YouTube video is part of this story. Codex Sinaiticus is having a rebirth in the controversy, and we're all here for it. I'm on the edge of my seat. I'm trying to figure out what's going on. I'm waiting for Brian Ross to get all the way through Chris Pinto's response that he wrote back in 2019. Let me know what he thinks of it, because I think he's already read it before, but I want to know what he thinks about it now. And it's going to be crazy. I'm really looking forward to what happens. I want to see a chemical test on that manuscript personally, but I also don't want to be on the Simonides bandwagon in case it tips over, because it may not be legit. So, that being said, I want to introduce a different idea to you. Kevin McGrain does not believe that Codex Sinaiticus is ancient like Tischendorf said, from what I heard from his article. He agrees with Porphyry Uspensky, who believed it was a 6th century codex written and copied from a lousy exemplar. And Kevin McGrain also says that if there hadn't been an enormous controversy around Codex Sinaiticus and its age, there would have been much more focus, not on its age, but on its actual text and on its actual character than there was. What does that mean? That means Porphyry Uspensky, when he looked at the manuscript, he's like, it has all sorts of apparent heretical and Arian corruptions. It was obviously done from a lousy exemplar. If Simonides, who I'm suspecting may really have some interesting things going on with him, and I don't want to smear the entire Greek Orthodox or Russian Orthodox Church or whatever, but there's some interesting things sometimes that I hear. And it's not just about them, it's about all sorts of facets and but anyways. The thing is that if Codex Sinaiticus was brought on the scene and Tischendorf was like, oh, it's an old manuscript. And people looked at it and were like, well, yeah, it's a really old, crappy manuscript. That's right, Tischendorf. Very nice. And then they basically changed the channel, next. If there wasn't the outrage, the heated debate, the suspense, I'm glued to my newspaper. Is there any updates on the Simonides affair? They would have been saying back when they were reading like British newspapers and stuff. And these articles were coming out. Oh, what's, chewing the fat on Simonides basically, and all this stuff. If it wasn't for Simonides saying that he had forged it, and then people accepting that he was lying, if it wasn't for all of that distraction about its date, where people are like, oh, it really is that old. Oh, wow, what an interesting manuscript. Oh, that's the one that they had all this controversy about and all the... If it wasn't for all of that, I believe it was Kevin McGrain. He said it probably would have passed on largely unnoticed. It would have been assigned a catalog number in whatever museum had a little note card pinned to it that said, you know, like Chris Pinto says, a little note card pinned to it that says world's oldest Bible. And it probably would have been recognized as the corruption that it is, and wouldn't have received the accolades and the respect that it has. So, was that just a side effect of, you know, just the controversy? Or was it planned by whoever sent Tischendorf after the manuscript? Was it planned that he would find it and that Simonides would be upset about it and that he would take issue with it and that they would capitalize on that controversy, on that story, to bring Sinaiticus into respectability? Or was Simonides involved and knew that what he was doing in stirring up the controversy and lying, apparently even, like Brian Ross mentions, changing his birthday so it didn't sound like a 12-year-old forged manuscript. It sounded more like a 16-year-old or so forged it, which would have been a lot more believable. Did he know and was he involved in undermining the West's idea of the Bible and its text and the Bible that it would accept? Was he a part of that? Knowingly and deliberately plotting against its reputability, its good standing, I guess, with the Eastern Orthodox Church. Oh, they accept the critical text. They accept all that nonsense, all those heresies over there. And then, oh, well, if you're going to get closer to the truth, then you're going to go become Greek Orthodox. It is just such a interesting, twisted story. I'm looking forward to seeing all the twists and turns. I like a good story. I'm not the guy that goes, nope, by golly, David Daniels wrote all this stuff and he's smart and I'm going with what he said. And Brian Ross, you're a fool, and I'm going to write a little hit piece and put it on my website, and people will never read your stuff again. That's not me. Me, I go, oh, wow, David Daniels really makes a great case. Oh, this is fascinating. Oh, wow, I love this. And then Brian Ross comes along with his videos and his lesson notes and everything else. And I look at those and I go, wow, this is amazing. Wow, I had no idea. Wow, David Daniels just looks like, you know, absolute garbage now. Wow, Brian Ross's stuff is really cool. That's me. And then David Daniels is going to be like, responds, and I'll be like, wow, look at his response. That's just me. I hope you guys enjoy this kind of stuff. Make your own opinions. Form some conspiracy theories. Put them down in those comments. Maybe if you come up with a whopper, or not even just a whopper, if you come up with something, if you think of something and you're just like, this is connected to, oh, that. I got to tell Joseph. And you tell me, and I'm just like, that's right. Copy and paste. Your name is on the website for the world to see. Leave that comment. Don't keep it to yourself. And I appreciate your input, as always. You guys are awesome. Like I said, I can't wait to see how this all pans out. Like I said, I'm on the edge of my seat. You know what I want to see? And what I might even do sometime? I want to be so bad and do this. I would love to have, Brian, if you're interested, let me know. I would love to have, like Brian Ross say, and David Daniels on here to discuss these issues. And then maybe after that, or before that, or whatever, if I could get, like McCrane, or they could even do it on Nick Sayers. You're the guy that has the platform for like debates and stuff, and a lot more free time than I do. If you, and also your time when you can actually work on these kind of things lines right up with our regular daytime and everything, which is nice for you. Kind of jealous, actually. So McGrain versus Pinto would also be fascinating. Just anybody versus anybody on this subject is always just going to be fascinating. It gives us so many things to watch on YouTube and waste all of our time with these kind of things. But I don't think it's a waste of time. I think this stuff is pretty important because there's this thing called a Bible version conspiracy, and it is undermining Christianity and our civilization at this very moment. This, guys, this is going to be just and think about this too. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, the modern forgery controversy got our attention and started us on our subscription to the Codex Sinaiticus channel. The controversy is being resurrected once again. This time, the conspiracy theorists are involved. And David Daniels, who is apparently a bona fide conspiracy theorist, according to Mark Ward. This time we're involved. This time we're at the helm. This time we're the ones leading the charge, doing the thought, the thinking, and presenting the thoughts, doing the research, all of this stuff. This could be either a great thing for textual criticism and Christianity and all of this stuff, or it may be distracting us from something else, or it may be getting us interested, or getting somebody interested in something that is going to prove dangerous in the long run, while we're trying to win our arguments. And what do we really gain? I mean, really, once in a while, someone would be like, "Oh, actually, I believe the King James Bible now," and that's good. But the thing is, we've got to think more long term than just winning an argument or getting a convert to our opinion. Like I've told you guys 1,000 times before, I love our platform because here we get to think and we get to lay out any old wild idea that we have. And sometimes it's those wild ideas that kind of push the boundaries, that help us to be able to see things in a different light, be able to dial things back, look at things from a different angle, weigh our options in a different way, and Helps us realize what's going on around us. And I think that's very important, especially in this debate, because there are not only eternal souls in the balances here. There's the end times and the New World religion on the horizon. And we need to think about the part that we're playing in either helping or hindering it. I appreciate you guys coming. I appreciate you guys watching. I appreciate your listening ears. I appreciate you subscribing to this channel. I think this is pretty important stuff. If you think this stuff is important too, if you're not a member, if you're not a co-conspirator, think about $7. Every $7 subscription, every $7 co-conspirator is one more person that can be here with us when we record these live, can be here when we are forming and building out our website, can help us with research, can help us buy resources, can help us buy subscriptions that we need to be able to run this thing, to be able to pay the bills for the website and everything else. I'm not begging you to become a co-conspirator, but I am telling you, if you want to get in on the ground floor of trying to figure this stuff out from a perspective that, as far as I'm aware, nobody else is taking. Nobody else is embracing the conspiracy theorist label and going, yep, and here's what I think about this, and documenting stuff and listing stuff, even though it's unbelievable, some of it. And then trying to think outside the box on this stuff, not just going, oh, this verse is missing. How did that happen? Not trying to diss anybody that's doing that, because that is a necessary part of this debate. But if you want to peek behind the curtain and try to figure out what's actually going on, and you're really just starting to not trust anybody, like I'm kind of going these days, we'll see you on the other side. If you want to become a member, check out the description below this video, or go to BibleVersionConspiracy.com and scroll down a little ways, and you'll see how to join the membership. It's a big flaming circle, and you can jump through it today. Like I said, our promise right now, as it stands, we'll see if it modifies in the future, but right now, as it stands, $500 a month, we will begin a video series officially for the first time ever, an official audit of New Age Bible versions, confirming everything we can, finding more context, finding more evidence, and everything else like this, and seeing what may have been misrepresented, and really getting to the bottom of it. If you're down for that, let's go. I appreciate you guys again. Wow. This is, like I said, the story is just getting more and more twisty and turny, and I just can't say it enough. I'm on the edge of my seat. I'm on the literal edge of my seat. and we'll see you next time. And until then, keep us in prayer. And keep reading that King James Bible like the devil's after it, because you and I both know that he is, and that there is, in fact, a Bible version conspiracy. Have a great night. As far as I'm aware, there's one person. If you want to join for a live chat, that's absolutely fine. I only expect for one of us to be there, possibly two. Click that little link that says, the secret hangout. Click that, and we'll have an even deeper conversation than is going to be recorded. So, I look forward to talking with you. God bless, and have a great weekend.